Yeah, absolutely. Of course.
Likkutei Torah, Drushim for Rosh Hashana, page Nun Ches, second column, Ois Beis. Okay, the last thing Alter Rebbe is explaining what it means, Zayim Tchilas Masecha, because on Rosh Hashana comes down the Hamshacha for the whole year, like in the Neshama comes into the head and there it spreads out all over the body. Yet, the original Rosh Hashana was Chafetz Chesed. There was no Aveda. Therefore, it's only Zikaron L'Yom Rishon. It's only remembrance of the first day, because now it's not through Chesed, the Chafetz Chesed, it's not through freebies. It's actually Aveda. So he says, V'hinei Pirish Tamlichuni. What does it mean when we say, Hashem says to the Jews, Tamlichuni Aleichem. You should make me as your king. Kineida is known, yes, Beis Bechinas, Mamala Kol Almin, V'Sevu Kol Almin. There's the permeating level of Elokus, and there's the encompassing level of Elokus. Pirish Mamala Kol Almin. What does it mean, the permeating level? HaChayish HaMislabish Ba'ilamis. The Chayis of Elokus that comes into the world Fi Madrigos and based on their level. L'chol echad ve'echad k'fum shiur delay. Every person according to their level. The Neshama is kach, Malachim kach, Neshama is one level, angels another level, Bria, Atzil is Bria, Yitzir, Asiya, Daimim, Tzemeh, Chaim, everything has its own unique way. And that's the Koyach HaPel, this is the power of Hashem, Shemalu B'shban Nifel, that comes into the thing that is created, B'seichi Mamish, at the extent, at Shegam B'gashmis, even in Gashmis, Ein Loch Esef. There is no, the Gemara says, there's no single blade of grass that doesn't have its own mazel from above that hits it and says grow. Which is Amshach as Achayis Befrat Le'esav Zeh. That means there's a level of godliness that comes down to that individual blade of grass. He's saying, how far does the permeating level go? That there isn't a drop of water, there isn't a blade of grass that doesn't have this own unique particular Chayis Hashem. And then it goes the higher to the highest to the highest. And every creature gets its Chayis based on its level. A higher vessel gets more, a lower vessel gets less. So it says, so it is the life that comes from Hashem. That comes, and the level of Elokus that comes into the levels of each one, like it says, which are Gimel Elam is Biyah, which are the three worlds, B'ri Yitzir and Asiya, Ubefrat Kama Elams, Bruyim Lein Ketz, and in more detail, there's infinite amount of creations, infinite amount of worlds. And Elokus comes into each individual level of Fi Erka. Okay, based on that level. So there's one level called, we're not done yet. There's one level called Mamala Kol Almin. That means it's the highest of each particular creation throughout the physical and spiritual universe, that each one gets its own unique particular level of Elokus. Just like the power of vegetation that the earth has, yeah? You can take the same piece of earth and plant different plants and different things are going to grow, obviously. Which means that the Koyach HaTzameach, the power of vegetation that the earth has, is a general Koyach, can make everything grow. And then when you put in that particular seed, is for that keli, that means the power of vegetation that the earth has becomes one with that particular seed that you planted, and that's what it grows. But it's not going to grow animals. It's not going to grow people. It's going to grow plant, vegetation. That's what's called Mamalakolam. But the higher level, which is the level of Elokus, which is higher than worlds. In other words, as Alter Rebbe explains in Tanya, it doesn't mean it's surrounding it. It means it affects it only in a superficial way rather than in a direct way. It's affecting indirectly versus Maamar Kol Alma, which affects it directly.
Give an example.
We just said, no? By a person you have the general life that Neshama gives life to the person's alive. There's no difference between the head and the foot. They're both alive equally. Then you have the functioning of the body. That the brain thinks, smells, the eye sees, the hand writes, and the feet walk. In other words, there's a level of, let's take this world. Inanimate gets its highest from Hashem, that it's for the inanimate. Then plant, and then animal, and then human. And then the infinite types of inanimate and different billion types of plant and animals and human.
Is this Keli dependent?
What?
Is it dependent on the Keli?
Maamar Kol Alma is dependent on the Keli. As much of a Keli that you make, that's how much revelation you have. Or how much Keli that Hashem made.
Yeah, is it from
Right.
Shamayim or is it the Keli? Or both?
Generally speaking, is the way Hashem set up the Keli. Now, by our Avodah, based on our Avodah, that's how much Keli is. In other words, Hashem made it that we are brought into a dark world. A world of sheker, lies, thievery, everything, right? Neshama comes into this world. Now, there's a sun shining in the sky. But it's not felt in this world because this world is full of evil, darkness. So the Avodah of the Jew is to open the shades more, until all the sunlight comes in. That's our Avodah. But there are things that Hashem made. A stone is a stone. A stone can never become a plant or an animal. A plant will never become an animal. An animal will become, whatever. So there's Kelim Hashem makes. That's for everything that exists in the world. Then the Avodah of the Jew is to reveal godliness in the world. Now, if godliness is all over, what are we revealing Hashem's all over? The answer is, it's not revealed. Right. So our Avodah is to make the Keli to reveal more godliness. You do a mitzvah, you reveal more godliness. Why is it so complicated to understand? This part is pretty easy. Because Maamar Kol Alma we get. Sefer Kol Alma we don't get. Because Sefer is above time and place. The only marshal that there is, basically, is the neshama in the body. The neshama comes with the body, the person's alive, period. But it's not directly affecting the head and the foot. Because it's not functioning. But indirectly makes it alive. And then you have the detailed chayis proti from the neshama. That's Maamar Kol Alma. That's what it says, top of 116. Ani avayla shenisi. I am Hashem that hasn't changed. You're the same God. Simply, you daven every day, we say like this. Simply means you were there before, you're there now. Comes along Chassidus and says, no, that's not what it means. It means, just like you existed before the world, i.e., the only thing that existed was you. Atahu, the same Ata that you were before, the only existence was you. Mishin Ivraelim, now that there's a world, it's also only you. Kach v'shavim mamish. L'chayre, to move on, l'chayre, it's not understood. How could that be that Hashem doesn't change? Before that, he wasn't giving life to the world. Now he is giving life to the world. Why isn't that a different change in him? He says, the world still exists. That now Elokus is in the world. Right? So the Rebbe is asking a very simple practical question. How could it be Ani Hashem Leishanisi, I haven't changed before the world and after the world. There is a change. Before world, he didn't give life to the world. Now he is sustaining the world. Why is there not a change in him? So he says, Elo mipnei ha'od ha'machayev kol ha'ilmus. This revelation that gives life to all the worlds, kol ha'miyadak ha'od ha'chitzein is bilvad, is only an external level. Mi'atzmusi is barich, from the essence of Hashem, vein negaz by cloud. It's not touching him in any way. It's totally irrelevant. Vein pe'el shini by cloud. And there's no change in Hashem whatsoever, because the Chayis, I'll explain in a second. Only the lowest attribute of Hashem, which is Malchus. This, that he's a remote from them, and this is totally irrelevant to the essence of Hashem. Okay, in other words, the Alter Rebbe is going to give another mashal. But in Tanya, the Alter Rebbe gives this mashal, that Hashem created the world with speech. Okay, not only with the 10 utterances, but it says basically, Bereshis created everything. Okay, Bidvar Hashem Shemaim Nasu. With one word, everything was made. So the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya Perek Chov that by a person has the ability to speak infinite amount of words. The Koyach HaDibur is infinite. But we live 120 years. 120 years is X amount of seconds. It takes, let's say, a second to say a word. So realistically, we're only able to speak X amount of words, whatever it is. Figure it out. It's not hard today. 365 times 24 times 60. You know what I mean? Just figure it out. It's possible. But the koyach of speech is infinite. We don't when we say a word, it's not -1, -2, -3. The koyach, the potential of speech is infinite. So one word, compared to that power of speech, is 1 to infinite. Now above speech is thought. Above thought are midas. Above midas is seichel. Above that is will. Above that is essence. Okay? So now take one word, compared to the essence of the person. It has absolutely no impact on them whatsoever. Right? One word has no impact at all, because it's 1 to infinite, to infinite, to infinite, to infinite. So therefore, when Hashem makes the whole world exist, in Seviv Kolam, one word, everything existed. Bidvar Hashem Shemaim Nas, one word of Hashem, whatever that means. A revelation, like we learned, that doesn't mean speech. A revelation of Hashem. This revelation of Hashem created the entire universe. That's the physical universe. Then you have the spiritual universe. Atzilus, B'riyah, Yitziyah, Asiyah, Kesed, Akudim, Nukudim, Teil, Tikkun, Livnei Atzimtum, that's all. One word. Created everything. So you can imagine that this one word, compared to Hashem, has absolutely no impact on him at all. Side note, yet, when we do one little mitzvah, we connect to that essence of Hashem. To the essence of Hashem, not to the word, not that it is. We connect one little mitzvah, connect to the essence of Hashem. So therefore, the pasuk says in Yishanisi, and now he gives a mashal of a melech. He's a separate entity completely. Is this, that the king is a king over the countries? It's not that the king's essence is now involved in each one of the countries. It's only his name. In other words, the king has nothing to do. It's like the sun. Like the sun in the sky, it's totally irrelevant to the sun if the curtains are open or closed. It's totally irrelevant. The only difference if the curtains are open or closed is the recipient. The recipient, if the curtains are closed, you get nothing. If the curtains are open, you get the sunlight. As far as the sun is concerned, there's absolutely no difference.
It's shining, no matter what.
It's shining anyway. The only question is, do you let him in? Like they once asked the great tzaddik when he was a little kid, where is God? He said, wherever you let him in. Wherever you let him in, that's where he is. He's all over. In your world, he's only where you let him in. Hashem himself is all over. There's no change in Hashem, whether your curtains are open or closed.
You feel that when you sit in the plane and it's raining, and then you go up, and you see, you go above the clouds, see this shining, there's sun, there's everything.
Because there's no blockage of the Avedas. Now, the Rebbe Negers Tshuva gives the Mashal of Avedas, Avenisechem Avdilim. Okay? It's like a cloud that blocks the sun. You can have a thin cloud, you can have a thick cloud, you can have many thin clouds, blocks like a thick cloud. That's the concept of an Aveda. So what's Tshuva? You move away the clouds.
And when the sun is shining, the sun is there.
The sun is shining regardless. But Mamala Kol Almin is the way Elokus comes internally based on the level of that vessel, this blade of grass versus this blade of grass, this inanimate plant, animal, human, or spiritual. That comes in every level based on the level.
Is that still infinite or finite?
It's infinite coming into a finite vessel. Now it's coming into, so it has to limit itself into that.
Amazing thing is that
I'll give you another mashal for this. A battery. We said this one. A battery. Yeah. A battery is power. You put it into this toy, it functions this way. You put it into a flashlight, it functions a different way. You put it into this or that, it functions differently. Now, it's not that the battery changes. The battery doesn't change if you put it into a flashlight or into a toy, a remote control car, whatever. It doesn't change. It gives life. This is the keli which takes that revelation, that power, and uses it according. That's based on the vessel. But even then, it's not that the battery is now, okay, I have a flashlight powered in me, I have a remote control powered in me. It's one simplistic power.
So Hashem doesn't want to create the grass. We want to create the grass. Hashem is only giving the power, but it's not the power of grass. We create that power.
If you plant it, you have it. At the beginning of creation, there was grass without anybody planting it.
So at the time that he's coming to the grass, if I think I want wood, it becomes a wood.
What? I didn't get that one.
If the power is the same coming down, and it really depends on me to create it, to give it to grass or to the wood. I have a power to create the grass or the wood.
You can't take a seed of grass and say, I want wood to come from it, and wood's going to come.
Why not? If the power is coming down, it's the same power.
No, it's not. The power of a seed of grass is going to grow grass.
So therefore Hashem.
Yeah, but what happens if I decide not to plant it? That's up to me. My decision is to plant it or not. Even after I plant it, Hashem can make it no rain and it won't grow. But Hashem gives us, these are the tools. This seed is the vehicle and the keli for the power of vegetation in the earth, together with Hashem, obviously, that it grows. What does it grow? It grows grass. It's not going to grow a cow. It's not going to grow wood. It's going to grow grass. This is going to grow tomatoes, and this is going to grow cucumbers, and this is going to grow apple tree.
And of course, a Jew can change the keli. His keli, meaning that he can elevate himself to be a better receiver.
Because that's our Aveda.
Right.
We can make apple seed into a peach seed.
Of course.
That's what I'm saying. Our Avodah is Avodah Tamlichuni Aleichem. Okay, now, so the Rebbe is explaining now, he said, what's Tamlichuni? So he starts saying, there's Mamal and Sefer. So he's explaining first Mamal and Sefer, then we'll come to the level of Tamlichuni.
That by itself.
But the question that the Rebbe asks, a very practical question. How can we say, Ani Havaya Le'Shanisi, that Hashem doesn't change, when before there was no world, now there is a world. Before he wasn't sustaining, now he is sustaining. And the answer is the sustenation, no, it's incorrect. The sustaining is nothing at all in any way whatsoever affecting Hashem. And by the way, one speech, one word compared to all that is still not the way it is by Elokus. There's still a comparison between one word compared to the infinite. It's still, by Elokus it's even more, but it's a marshal.
I have a question. You throw a ball in the air, and okay, it's a big sky, it's tremendous, it's infinite.
It's not infinite, it's finite.
No, but marshal.
Yeah.
And the ball wants to come down, but how much Baruch Hu keeps it up?
That's called a miracle. That's called a miracle because Hashem implanted the nature, whether gravity or according to Chassidus is a different explanation. The ball will come back down. What's the miracle of Kriyas Yamsuf? Hashem implanted the nature of water to flow. A rock doesn't flow. But the nature of water is to flow. So that's the nature of water. Now Hashem made Kriyas Yamsuf, He's made water stand.
Made. So his hand is in it. He made it. He made it. So it's affecting him.
No.
How could it happen if not?
Because that thing that Hashem did to stop the water is one word compared to the infinite level of Hashem. That's what it is. Miracles in nature are exactly the same.
The frequency changes.
The only frequent, this the frequency. As the expression is, a constant miracle is called nature. Put a seed in the ground, it germinates, it rots, and out comes this guy. Yeah? It's a miracle. You take a seed, put it in the ground, and he comes out, grows up. Yeah? Childbirth is an unbelievable miracle. Nature, the solar system, is a miracle. The sun comes up in the east and sets in the west. If one day the sun will come up in the west and set in the east, it's going to have a freak attack. The world's going to go crazy for 1 billion years. What's the big deal? Well, the sun went in reverse. It put down the gear and went in reverse. Big deal. The sun coming up every day in the east and setting in the west is unbelievable. Not only the sun, the moon also comes up in the east and sets in the west.
There must be something that is making Hashgacha Pratit happen. It doesn't just happen. I know it's relatively...
Hashgacha Pratis is the level of Mamala Kalam.
This lady asking for help. It does not have a help.
Okay, well, I will take care of it. But even Mamala is Hashem Hu Elokim. Elokim is nature, Mamala. Havaya is Seviv. Havaya Elokim, it's all the same. It's still all the same. And what's unique and what's really interesting, that one mitzvah connects us to that essence.
By the way, the pictures coming now from this thing,
Pictures?
yeah, that they taken from the universe, it really shows Earth is nothing compared, which is exactly what the Torah was saying.
Earth is nothing. We're nothing. The neshama, that's something.
Yeah.
Neshama dominates the body, i.e., a mitzvah, that's something. When that, I mean, it's a Merendik story, but I mentioned in Shabbos the other week. This kid went in, this 12-year-old kid went into the Rebbe, for Yechidus from England. Yeah, and he told the Rebbe, he was learning Likkutei Torah, which Rebbe was very surprised about at that age, learning Likkutei Torah. And he told the Rebbe he's learning about Melech Basada. And the Rebbe asked him, did you find him? Did you find the king? And the king was like, whoa. And the Rebbe said, when you make a bracha, you're finding the king. It's a Merendik thing. It just says it, by the way, in yesterday's a Yom Yom. The Merutz of that whole thing, how do you connect? To Paraktila and this and that. In other words, you make a bracha, you're finding the king in the field. You're coming to him. I mean, we were talking about this last night. That was the Baal Shem Tov accomplished. A simple Jew does a mitzvah. Is greater than the egotistic learning of those big scholars. Because by the big scholars is all about them, not about God. And the simple Jew that does a mitzvah, it's all about God, not about him. It's a massive difference. Is it all about me, or is it all about Hashem? The humility of the simple Jews, the bittul of the simple Jews, is really that's the whole thing. I mentioned there was a story, there's two kids grew up together, in the schools, and then they separated, they got older, they separated. One became a chassid and one didn't. Many years later, they met each other. So they were talking, so the chassid says to the guy, no, what happened? He says, my whole life I was striving to become a great gadol. And the chassidish kid said to him, that's funny, my whole life I was striving to become a nothing. Because if a person feels Einoid Mulvade, then there's no me. But in reality, the real me is Hashem. So when a person is nothing, that's when their real essence of connected to Hashem, so they're the real being. As long as it's me, I'm nothing. Worthless. The bittul makes that connection with the essence of Hashem. So then you become a real something. As Chassidus has an expression, Yesh Amiti, Yesh Nivra, it's the same thing. When the Yesh Nivra becomes bottled to the Yesh Amiti, it becomes the real.
The ladies collecting.
Huh?